But 1% is, yeah, okay, we'll do that. We'll keep the conversation going.
Recognize the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Wied, for 5 minutes.
Well, Madam Secretary, thank you so much for your willingness to be here today and answer questions about the ongoings of the USDA. And, well, happy National Dairy Month as well.
That's right.
As you most certainly know, as America's dairy land, it cannot be overstated how important agriculture in the entire dairy industry is to my constituents, which is Wisconsin's 8th Congressional District. We rank 4th in the country in dairy production, and the entirety of the industry, from milk to our world-famous cheeses, provides a $14 billion economic impact. It's a priority of me to support this strong tradition that we have in Wisconsin. So despite strong growing demand from international consumers, certain trading partners refuse to allow our products to compete in their markets by erecting unfounded barriers to trade. One of the worst offenders is our neighbor to the north. Canada has continued to ignore its obligations under the US-Mexico-Canada Agreement to provide the dairy market access that they had agreed to in 2020. Since then, the Canadian government has administered their dairy import quotas in a manner that intentionally limits our ability to reach Canadian consumers, leaving many of the quotas largely unfilled at the end of the year. So Wisconsin dairy exporters have an easier time exporting to countries on the other side of the world than to our next-door neighbor. To add insult to injury, Canada continues to offload its non-fat milk solids at artificially low prices on the global market, undercutting our producers and circumventing its USMCA commitments on dairy protein exports, of course, in the process. So, Secretary Rollins, with the USMCA review coming up next year, will you commit to working with your interagency partners to ensure that Wisconsin dairy farmers receive the full benefits of the trade deal as the negotiators intended?
Yeah, I really look forward to that. I think, it's such a, the dynamic is so different in the best way this time with this administration. Not that we weren't getting a lot of good things done in the first Trump administration, but this cabinet is so aligned and so hand in glove together that my partners, Lutnick, Besant, Greer, all of the above, the president as the negotiator in chief, I think that we're going to see some really big wins. And yes, so putting cheese and our dairy farmers at the top of the list is great.
Well, that's refreshing. Thank you. So in Wisconsin, many multi-generational farms are at a crossroads. Aging farmers are ready to retire, but younger family members are beginning farmers often face steep barriers, as we know. Limited access to capital, limited land availability, and economic uncertainty. Without meaningful support, farmland risks being lost to non-agriculture uses. What is USDA doing to support successful farm transitions, particularly in dairy, which is a big part of our district, where high capital costs, narrow margins, and labor challenges make it difficult for the next generation to take over?
This is, and I mentioned this earlier, so forgive me for those who are having to hear it again, but in the 17 states that I visited so far, more states coming, Wisconsin being right there, the best part, but also the most challenging part, has been meeting with the farmers and sitting in a barn or a warehouse at a round table with 20 or 30, hearing from them their biggest challenges and what we can do to help that. And almost every one of them is a second or third or fourth or fifth generation. Some new farmers too, and that's a different discussion. But and all of them say, I'm just so scared I'm not going to be able to pass this on to my kids and my kids to their kids. And so about a month ago, we launched our Small Family Farm Initiative, a slate of policy items that we can work alongside states, ag commissioners, with you all in Congress, that the executive can do himself through EOs, et cetera, to ensure that we've got just that. I think what's in the big, beautiful bill is really important. I think the work that you all did is just, you should be so commended. The death tax now not applying to the 2 million smaller farms, the additional tax cuts to our farmers, the $3.8 billion in additional income to our farmers. These are things that make a difference, but ultimately expanding the market, bringing down the cost of inputs, protecting our crop protectants, et cetera, is just going to continue to be at the top of the list, and we've just got to do better, and that's what I'm hoping to do.
So I know farmers and processors often have different opinions on milk pricing, but one area of agreement relates to having better data across the board. So in that context, I've co-sponsored a bipartisan bill to require USDA to conduct dairy manufacturing cost surveys every 2 years to help make sure that all stakeholders have the same data going forward. I'm thrilled that we were able to include funding, of course, in this big, beautiful bill in this reconciliation package to implement this process. So when and if this is enacted, will you work with us on, on this committee to help get this up and running as quickly as possible?
100%. I'll look forward to that.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again for your leadership.
Thank you.
I yield back.
Gentlemen,